Hey all, wanted to do a video on this knife here. This is the Polite But Dangerous Tools Paleo Spearhead Guide Edition. This is a semi-custom because it is dual ground. They are generally chisel ground, which, me being a lefty, isn't the greatest. So I was really happy that Sam at Polite But Dangerous Tools would do a dual grind for me. And yeah, it's been a really cool knife. Just talking the design concept of this knife, I think Sam was going for kind of a Paleolithic era style knife or stone point, and it's a really cool harkening back to the first knives that man ever used. You can use this definitely as an EDC knife and for most cutting tasks. You know, it's fine in the woods too. I wouldn't say that it's the best knife for prolonged woodworking because it is thin and light. This isn't gonna feel the most comfortable if you're doing really hard push cuts, but you can get it done. The concept of this knife is that it can be upscaled. So you have this small knife down in your pocket, on your belt, what have you. This thing will work just fine as is as a cutting tool. However, if you take a split stick, you can pretty easily haft this knife, and you can have a larger handle or even turn it into a spear. The modularity of this little tool, I just think is a really cool concept and idea, and that's what intrigued me to buy one. So I do have a short YouTube video that I posted yesterday showing this knife hafted with sinew wrap and then using the buckskin that I wrapped on the handle here, and yeah, works just fine. So a few things about the knife. The knife is about 6 inches overall. It's 80 CRV2 carbon steel. It is 1/8 inch thick at its widest point. You have a saber grind here, and it's super thin and super easy to carry. I really like carrying this as kind of a complementary to a folding knife or a Swiss Army knife. So that way I do have a knife with a full handle, but what this allows me to do is have a fixed blade that can baton small kindling. I don't have to worry about messing up a pivot on my folder. And I really like having that capability at all times. It's just something ingrained in me. Like if I feel like I can't just split a little bit of kindling with a knife, I feel like I'm under knifed. That's just my thinking. But yeah, so a couple things. Like I said, for long wood processing, this knife is probably not gonna, you're probably not gonna want this to be your primary knife if you're doing a ton of carving, a ton of wood processing, but you can get it done. One of the things, as constructive criticism for Sam, when this knife came in, the edges were pretty sharp. I wouldn't say they were 90-degree ferro rod scraping sharp, but they were sharp enough to kind of dig into your hand and be a little bit uncomfortable if you did need to use it a little harder than light cutting. So I took a 400 grit belt sander and I just rounded the top and bottom of the grip areas, and that seemed to help quite a lot. Another couple things I did, and this isn't criticism, but I did put this buckskin wrap here so that it gives just a little more grip in the hand, because you know there is no guard or anything keeping you from slipping up on that edge. It's just proper knife use and using your head while you're using the knife. That's going to keep you from getting cut, just like the old stone tools. One of the things I like about this little bit of buckskin and adding a lanyard here, it did come with a paracord lanyard. I put this little whitetail antler bead with leather back here, but anyway, for the off chance that I ever did need to use this in a self-defense situation, let's say I'm in town and I just got this slipped down in my pocket, whatever. If I grip the knife like this and use it in a thrusting motion, there's a good chance, you know, I could slip up and cut myself. So the way that I think that you would want to use this, if you had to, is you extend the grip with this little lanyard, you reinforce the back of the blade in your palm, use a pinch grip, and then you have a little more backing up that thrusting motion. Also, when you pinch grip like this, if you were to hit something hard and your grip did slip, you're slipping up the back of the blade and not the edge. So just something to think about with that. This obviously is not a primary self-defense knife, but being that this knife has some modularity because it can be hafted, you know, let's say you're doing an overnighter in mountain lion country, you know, you can easily take this thing, haft it up into a spear, and you have a lot more reach to defend against, you know, a big cat or a bear. Obviously not ideal, but better than nothing if for some reason you can't bring a pew-pew. But I just thought this was a really intriguing little knife. Polite but Dangerous Tools is a family operation. Really a one-man show with his family in Alaska, making pretty cool knives with interesting concepts and designs and art. He's doing a lot of stuff that I'm not seeing elsewhere in the knife world, and you guys should go take a look at what he's doing over on Instagram. It's polite.dangerous.tools on Instagram. He makes some big tracker knives, some Bowie knives. He's got little foragers that are just sick, like little peak-call style foraging knives. He's just doing some really neat stuff, so go check him out. I really like what he's doing with his brand, and I think that he is going to be quickly successful. One other thing I did do to this knife is, because this knife is designed to be used as a spearhead as well, the edge was pretty thick. I did decide to give it more of an acute convex. I didn't thin it out too much because I didn't want to make it unusable as a spear if I decided to do so. But I did want it to cut a little bit better and carve just a little bit better, and that did the trick. So that it's a little bit of a preference thing, but I would like to see maybe a slightly thinner profile on the edge from the shop. But other than that, I really love this little design. Super easy to carry, really interesting, and has that second kind of cool if you're into primitive, you know, style knives, which most of his are. So the sheath it came with is a leather over Kydex. Now this one has a topographic map kind of design on it. He does other knives with themes. He does a lot of like cryptid themes, so you see like Bigfoot, skinwalkers, stuff like that. You know, if you're just into the old cryptid lore. But the sheath is very nice. Because this knife is so thin, there's not a lot of retention points, you know, to pinch inside of a Kydex sheath. So it's not quite as tight as maybe some sheaths would be. But I've shaken it, you know, I've kind of put it through its paces, and I have no issues with this sheath, and I don't think you're gonna lose this knife out of this sheath. So really cool. Really like the leather over Kydex look. You have both the benefits of leather and Kydex. So the other thing I did is I wrapped some artificial sinew around the sheath, just so I always have, you know, some binding should I decide to have this knife. So yeah, there it is, guys. Polite but dangerous tools, Paleo Spearhead, dual ground. Very cool knife. Hope you guys are all doing well, and until the next time, take it easy, y'all.